Today's stories include, is Xbox about to reveal a handheld? Last of Us 2 PC might have been ready for a while, and the Alan Wake 2 DLC reveal is confirmed. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb.
I'm ready for it. Blessing, I'm ready. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I'm going to Los Angeles, and I believe someone is going to show me at least one video game.
You're going to see at least one video game down in Los Angeles.
I think so.
I'm also going to see at least one video game. I'm excited. What do you hope that video game is?
If I'm being real, the only video game ever that really pops in my head is Metroid Prime 4. That's it. Listen, we're getting Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth Treat. We're getting Astro Bot. So now the next one on the Jeff Grubb tier list is Metroid Prime 4. That's not going to be there.
Not Ridge Racer?
Listen, I'm not a sicko like Mike Minotti. All right, you leave me alone with that. Hey, I would love it. I would love it if Ridge Racer was there.
Ridge Racer's never coming back though, right? Like you just got to give up the hope.
No, I just like keep teasing Mike about it, but no, probably not.
Yeah. What are your hype levels for this weekend? Right? Like how often do you even go to LA? I don't know much about the day-to-day life of Jeff Grubb.
Yeah, I'm now like these days for the last couple of years I'm out to LA like twice a year around there. I'm excited. I like going out to Los Angeles for the summer game mess. I think I am setting my expectation level appropriately. It is. Hey, I hope to see some games that when I eventually play them will be very fun. I don't need the world. I know that we're in a weird place right now with video games. And yet at the same time, it feels like every week I'm playing something else that I just fall in absolute love with. So, hey, if we can keep that going, I'm going to be happy. And really, we're doing the Giant Bomb and Couch stuff. We have our live show, Bellwether, Sunday, June 9th. Everyone should get their tickets now at Ticketmaster.com, search for Giant Bomb. But I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff. We're going to have people come and talk with us about video games. You guys are going to be there on the couch on Saturday night. That really makes it all worth it.
I am extremely jealous of the way that you guys are attacking. I can only call it E3, but Summer Game Fest / Summer Game Mess season, where you guys are on the floor and you're like, screw it, we're doing content on the floor, right? Like we are doing the live show, we're doing the couch, and like we're using this as an opportunity to celebrate and like have people all together and like do it big. That sounds so fun. Like, are you in a place where you're completely excited about it? Are you hosting? I assume you're hosting the couch. Like, where are your levels at for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I feel about Blessing, where it's like, we work remote still, and that's not going to change. But that means like when we have these opportunities to come together, we do treat them as an excuse to go big and be like, okay, let's get the studio, let's get everybody in there, let's let everybody come hang out in the green room with us while we put on a fun show. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about it. The last several weeks have been a lot of planning, making sure that we have a show that will be fun for everyone to watch and dealing with logistics. It was fun this year. It's just big enough that they got basically a producer. So now I'm just sending everybody to her and be like, she knows what's going on. I'm completely lost at this point. So that's been great. But yeah, I'm sitting there in the chair, we have people on the couch, and I can hear everybody in the other room having a good time. That's when I'll be in my happy place with the summer game mess season.
Is there somebody that you're super excited to have on the couch this year, aside from me? Is there somebody that you're the most excited for?
It's all about you. I mean, I
put your
really
friends
like
against each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I like having a lot of the games journalists on. I really do the games media. I try to get a lot of developers on there. But when I'm like putting this together, I'm like, I just kind of want us to come together. This could be our thing. We get game developers have the game awards and a bunch of stuff like that, and they deserve it. But it's like every once in a while, maybe we should all get together and talk about how we're feeling about everything. And so I do view it that way. It's a big part of it. But there's also a handful of developers like Blumhouse has that thing that they announced. I think it's a Blumhouse has that thing they announced. I'm gonna have them on. I'm gonna talk to them about how they're feeling about spinning up a games side of their business and what they see the future of that. Like, can they replicate what they've done in movies and games? Like that kind of conversation will be very fun.
Yeah. I've always been such a big fan of the Giant Bomb Couch, right? Like I think you guys do such a good job of just making it an approachable way for people to get the insight into the games industry. You guys do a good job of reaching into different sects of the industry where it is, yeah, you have developers, you have games media, you have like a bunch of games media people that don't generally interact with each other, because like how often do people from Kotaku get to sit down for people from IGN on the same couch with people from GameSpot or whatever it is? And I know for me, in the last decade of tuning in every now and then, like I'll tune in and I'm like, oh man, what a group of six this is. And really fun moments get to be created out of that. And yeah, I think last year was the first time you hosted the couch, and I remember it being a blast. Like I was there, so I didn't get to watch it, but I just remember having a fun time while being there. And it is like just a fun party, and it is just a fun chill time.
And I will say I do appreciate Kind of Funny like rolling in strong and just hanging out with us at least one of the nights. And yeah, I can't wait to replicate that again this year.
Hell yeah! Earlier you mentioned that we're at a place with video games currently where you're falling in love with a new game. Like it feels like constantly at this point. What is the latest Jeff Grubb game that you've fallen in love with?
Yeah, it is Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip. It's this little open world indie game that is like, you could beat it in 3 hours. It's similar to a short hike and Simpsons Hit and Run. And I just had a really good time with it. You can, it's got this little fun, dense open world to explore, but it gives you actually a bunch of fun quests. You're finding these junk pieces that you then can use to upgrade your car, which you're going to take into space. It's got really droll, funny writing. The characters are very cute and also stylized.
This looks awesome.
It rules. It is. I'm also at a point where I am remembering being a kid and having most games being 2 to 3 hours long and kind of wondering, I mean, I know why we got away from that, but I just really wish we didn't get to this idea where it's like, if a game is 3 hours long, it is somehow less than. This game is greater than the sum of its parts in every way. And a big part of that is just blasting through it in a couple of play sessions and then just messing around because it's a fun, like, sandbox. It's one of these games where I think about if I were to, like, do something with my TikTok channel, I would be like, oh, here's a good game that you could just hand your kid and they can find the fun in it. This is one of those games. And at the same time, I'm also really just enjoying it.
That's awesome. Yeah, looking at the gameplay, it does give like a lot of Simpsons hit and run vibes, but it also reminds me, have you played Jazzpunk?
Yes, I did play Jazz. I love Jazzpunk.
Yeah,
yes.
Like Jazzpunk I also loved. And like one of the things I think it did well is just that it was this open, it wasn't open world, but it had like open levels that you would run around in and like just find things.
Sonic's open zone gameplay, yes.
Exactly, yeah, that Sonic invented. And like you would just find funny shit just littered around the world. And for me, I feel like
very similar.
For indie games, it is you don't see many open worlds because when you think of open world, you think big budget, you think big production. That sounds like a lot of work. But I love the condensed, hey, we don't have to make it a fucking Assassin's Creed ass big old open world game. We can make a small world, but just fill it with a lot of charm, a lot of personality, and a lot of fun things to find, and that can get the job done.
Exactly, and then creates opportunities to stumble on things, and then it's also pretty good at guiding you to these things if you want that. There's a hint system. There's characters that will point you in direct places. They'll put X's on your map. It's really great.
Oh yeah. Well, Jeff, enough about that. Remember, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or on YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. Housekeeping for you today after KFGD, you'll get the Kind of Funny GAMESCAST, which is our Xbox showcase predictions with Parris and Jeff Grubb. It's going to be a full cast of people. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tune in.
I'll bring a couple of heaters for everybody. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you guys want a couple of teases, I'll do that.
Oh, let's go. We also got the stream after that, which is more Elden Ring with Mike, Andy, and Nick. Remember, if you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Gregway, which is how vindictive was Portillo the wiener dog. Of course, you can get that on Patreon or on youtube.com/kindoffunnygame or Kind of Funny Games if you're a Kind of Funny member. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Kieran Hovasapien, Carl Jacobs, Fargo Rady, and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by Concord, developer of Vampire Survivors, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 5 stories today.
A baker's dozen.
Starting with our number 1. Jeff, me and you are going to get into this Xbox speculation a little bit early today. Story number 1, Xbox reportedly is preparing a handheld console reveal for the Xbox Game Showcase. I am pulling from Tom West at True Achievements. We're just days away from the Xbox Game Showcase on June 9th as part of the Summer Game Fest schedule. Along with the already known excitement, Microsoft is reportedly also gearing up to reveal an Xbox handheld console and shadow drop something from its first-party lineup. As reported by well-known leaker Ecstasis,
Ecstasis, yeah.
big X and a 1 in there, Ecstasis on YouTube, Microsoft is preparing to reveal an Xbox handheld during the Xbox Game Showcase. The original report is in Spanish, but a Reddit user has translated Ecstasis' video, which says Microsoft will tease the Xbox Portable later this week. The report doesn't give us any more details other than that, but a handheld Xbox console has been rumored for some time now. Back in March, Xbox boss Phil Spencer discussed his love for handheld systems, fueling the speculation even further. Alongside that, Ecstasis also suggests that Microsoft plans to shadow drop something from its first-party catalog during the show. We don't know what will be dropped yet, and likely won't until the showcase, but it'll reportedly be something everyone is expecting to see from Xbox's upcoming lineup of games and DLC. Jeff, do you believe it? Do you believe part of it? Do you believe all of it?
Yeah, it's tough to because this is what I want. I do want an Xbox handheld. And so if I set myself up for those expectations and it doesn't happen, I think I would be setting myself up for a little bit of disappointment. So I think the approach I'm taking is this would be great, but I am in the, pinch of salt territory. Let's take it with that. I would say it's not impossible. We do hear the way like the Xbox team talks about handhelds. I think Phil Spencer, just about every interview he's done this year has like brought up handhelds in one way or the other, or someone asked him about it and he was more than happy to talk about it. Did I ever think that meant that they would have a handheld ready to tease in any way by summer? Definitely not. I was looking at what they said previously about, hey, later this year we will talk about new hardware, and to me I thought that meant the diskless Xbox Series S, and then we'll have the more powerful than you could imagine next gen update to talk about sometime after that. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure they'll have some a portable in there at some point. So if they have something now, I think it says something about what this device probably is. But going back to whether or not I think it's true, I mean, it's possible. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think this comes down to what the device actually is like the point that I lock into, which is, I think I don't think it's impossible for Xbox to announce a portable handheld at this week, right at the Xbox Game Showcase. But yeah, it's with where we're at in the era of the Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion and all these different handhelds coming out and being successful, right? Seeing that right now the world is ready for it. Not only is ready for, the world wants handhelds. The world is loving these more powerful, beefed up PC / Linux powered handhelds. There is a market there, and I think Xbox, and I think even more so Microsoft as a hardware / software company, has a lot of, I think there's a lot there that you can chase, and you have the power to chase that as Microsoft. I think it comes down to, what is the vision? Are we talking about something that is alongside a Steam Deck in terms of, you're running native either Xbox or PC games? Or is it something along the lines of a PlayStation Portal type situation where we are doing a cloud streaming solution? Maybe it is a kind of what I would have originally wanted from a PlayStation Portal, which is, I can actually play games from Xbox Cloud. It's not even from just my console. It's just from the cloud in general. I could see it being that. For you, Jeff, if this does happen this week, what do you expect it to be?
Yeah, I think if I were to take in all the factors, which is, we're very early. If the idea was, let's take the Xbox Series S and turn that into a handheld, it's not really viable in this moment to miniaturize that quite yet. It'll happen, but we're not there. So if this thing is happening where they're announcing it or talking about it here, and it's coming out in the 12 months following, my expectations would be this is a device where you play games natively. It is basically a Surface laptop shrunk down into a handheld. It is a PC, and it has a very strong and well-designed Xbox layer on top of Windows. If they do that, I'll be all there for it. My problem with all the handhelds that aren't the Steam Deck are it is Windows. That is an issue. Phil Spencer said it himself in interviews where he's like, yeah, we get it. We know that's a problem. It's kind of a headache to use when you're navigating the interface. And then when you want to do things like put a game into sleep mode, Windows just doesn't handle that very well. So if they have a Xbox layer on top of that to sort of understand how we want to use this device as a gaming machine, and then underneath that, it's just a PC. I'm all aboard. I think that's a great idea, and I think they can make that work. And frankly, it would be a leap for them as a company that has had Windows and has not been able to convince people to buy video games through them because everyone just goes to Steam instead. This would be a way to like maybe get some of that action.
Do you think that comes with the promise of, if we're talking about playing games on this thing natively, that comes with the promise of any game that comes out for Xbox Series X/S is also available for this portable thing? Or do you think it is more so, oh, it's a PC? Like we are looking at this as Xbox, but it is playing the stuff that comes out on PC that you can get on Xbox Game Pass for PC. Like, how do you think they frame that?
Right, it's a challenge, right? 'Cause so far, what they've been trying to do is, if it has the Xbox name on it, it can play all these games. If it's Xbox Series, like if this is Xbox Series P, the implication would be anything that comes out for the Xbox Series consoles would work on this. I think that is maybe a little unreasonable. I think most games could be scaled down to work on this thing if they're launching on console and PC. I think the way they would get around that is, as part of that Xbox layer would be a strong connection to the Xbox cloud. Yeah. And I think they'd be like, and you can, if a game is not, or if it's too powerful to run on this device, we understand that. But here's an option. And you could do any game if you want through the cloud. That's something you can do. So you don't have to download anything. This can be a cloud gaming device if you want it. But we understand people want to play most games natively. In the rare instance where a game would not work that way, here is the cloud. You can use that as well. And I think that sort of covers all their bases. I don't think it won't be like the perfect solution, but I think they'll have answers for every problem that people will have if they are approaching this with all the gusto that I expect them to.
Do you think if what we're talking about is the case, do you think this works? Do you think this comes out and is a hit? Because this sounds exciting for me, but I'm also somebody who already owns a Steam Deck and already owns a Nintendo Switch, and I have a Playdate, which doesn't fit into this, but like, I wonder.
That's why I put in the chat, the console wars have ended. The handheld wars have begun.
But also, that's what it feels like, where it's like, yeah, everybody, it seems, at least a lot of companies, a lot of hardware companies seem to want a piece of that handheld market pie. And the more companies that take a piece, the less space there is, right? The less pie there is. Do you think Xbox is able to come out with a native handheld, or games being played natively on a handheld, and it actually come out and be a success and maybe even compete or even exceed what we have with things like the Steam Deck?
Right. Yeah. It's like what actually is defining what works. Does this work? Well, it works if the goal is to, just expand the reach of Xbox and put out a product that people are excited about, that is good, that is high quality, that does sell to an audience that buys a lot of video games, and maybe reaches beyond the traditional Xbox audience a little bit. I think it has the possibility to do that if it is saying, here is the very friendly way to get into one of these handheld gaming PCs. I think the Steam Deck is already very friendly, but there are people who are just going to see Steam, hear that it's a Linux PC, and want nothing to do with that. There are still people out there like that, like Greg Miller. I know he has a Steam Deck, but come on, he's afraid of it.
Yeah.
I think,
but that's a good point. Like Xbox brand means something.
Right. And I think if they treat it as like, we understand that, so all of those rough edges that you're scared of are going to be hidden, and we are just going to take care of that for you. And then you're going to get all those PC games you've been missing out on. I think that can work. Is this thing going to be anything approaching a Switch? Almost certainly not, right? The Steam Deck's not that. So I think that if that's the goal, and I don't think that would be, that's just not going to happen. But I think it can work for them in terms of just growing Xbox and getting some positive momentum and positive win in the sales.
Yeah, and I think that's the way you would have to look at it, and you would hope Xbox will look at it. Like Barrett mentioning that, yeah, we're in where the console wars are over, we're in the handheld wars. Really, like, Nintendo's kind of already won. Like, Nintendo won the handheld wars before they even started, right? We're kind of like in the rest of it, right? Like, Nintendo's out here. It's fucking, I'm gonna make an Elden Ring reference, I guess, because I'm turning into Andy. But like, they're fucking America. They're fucking like, all right, we're just sitting here. Everything's done. We've shattered the Elden Ring. We're sitting pretty. Whereas like the rest of the world is fucking fending for itself right now in terms of what the handheld market is going to be. I saw somebody in chat that was like, how successful is the Steam Deck really, right? And like, I think we will look at it and you'll say, well, the Steam Deck is pretty successful for what the Steam Deck is. Successful. But when you talk about Microsoft and Xbox and probably what their expectations would be for what their handheld would be, do you think that, I guess, two-part question. One, do you think that Microsoft's expectations for this would exceed what the Steam Deck is, and then also, do you think an Xbox handheld could do what they would expect it to do?
Yeah, I wonder how they set expectations. I think if you are Microsoft, what you do is you look at you got a Surface laptop in front of you. I bet if they put this device out, it would probably be one of their best-selling computer devices they've ever made. I think it would outsell most of the Surface laptops. I suppose I don't understand, like, maybe Surface sells a lot to enterprise and people are buying them by, like, the dozens or the hundreds.
Companies are just buying these things.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I'm not considering that. But in terms of, like, retail sales, I think that this device could easily outsell a lot of other Surface devices. So you would probably take that Surface hardware team, integrate them into this and grow that, and that would be bigger than what they've done before. So that growth we're always talking about would be there. Now, if they do the comparison and say, how do we compare to everything else in the market, that's going to be a lot tougher. Obviously, the Switch is going to be a measuring stick that is just not reasonable for a lot of these devices.
Yeah.
But if you have if they come up with an Xbox handheld and it is as good as the Steam Deck in most people's estimation and has improvements to the interface that makes it work as really well as a Windows device. And on that point, real quick, this could be the beginning of this rumored initiative of, like, here's the Xbox interface and here's where it's easy to install Steam and Epic and all these other stores. And now it's like the Xbox ecosystem is bringing in those other stores. This could start there. But if it's like, if their goal is to present it that way, I think they can very easily make the argument that this is a very successful piece of hardware for them, even though it's not, and it'll be in retail stores, which Steam Deck isn't, right? You can only get the Steam Deck through Steam, and this thing could be in Best Buy and Targets over the holidays, and I think that would easily help it outpace a lot of other devices that are that would struggle to get into those stores.
Yeah. So, Jeff, we've gotten deep into speculation on something. I think both of us are very much like, grain of salt. We'll see if this even shows up. We'll see if this even exists.
It's not like it's never going to happen. I feel like we're in the timeline where eventually we get this device, whether 1000%. It's here or not, who knows?
Exactly. But to hold back and let's speculate about the other half of the story, right? Like the Exorcist.
There we go. There we go.
Taking us
to on the wrong scene. That's why.
Speculation
motherfuckers.
Let's talk about a possible shadow drop for an Xbox first party game that they're talking about alongside this.
Yeah.
One, again, is that another grain of salt thing for you? But then also, what could that even be?
It's not going to be any of, like, the biggest games, right? I think there's a certain limit. I know Imran this morning on Game Us Mornings, he speculated, like, the biggest thing he could imagine it being is a Killer Instinct fighting game, and that was speculation. He doesn't know. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that would make sense, right? You go to a new free-to-play Killer Instinct that launches out of nowhere. I think people would be very excited for that. I would be excited for that. I don't know if a Killer Instinct would be ready, but if it is, that'd be great. I remember hearing about games that were in the works and haven't been announced. So I pointed out that Diablo-like Wu-Tang game that I've always wanted them to actually make and put out. Apparently that was in development for some time, and Microsoft had to deal with that and was going to publish it. I'm like, okay, something like that could be really cool, but I don't think it gets much bigger than that. Like, we're not talking about Gears of War 6 shadow dropping at this thing, right?
No, absolutely not. Killer Instinct, I think, is a very interesting one where
me too.
I think if it shadow dropped, it would be like a beta or some early version. I would think it would be such a mistake to not super market that game before Evo, Like, I would think
you would do season 0, right? You'd be like, this is season 0 of Killer Instinct, not even season 1, just like this, like, we're going to just see how much you guys like it, and we're going to make it better for the real launch. I think that kind of shadow drop is a really good idea.
Exactly. Yeah. If this is a 1.0, I think you would have been out, you would have started at the beginning of this year going, hey, Killer Instinct's coming out this June. Like, let's talk to Evo. Let's get it there. Let's try to promote that this is going to be a thing that's around. We want to build community around that. But yeah, I think if you're going to do hey, Killer Instinct is back, and yeah, we have a version, 0.1 or whatever that people can check out and play. 4 characters available. We're doing a beta for 2 weeks or whatever it is. I think that could be interesting. What's up, Barrett?
Someone in the chat, I lost them already, pointed out possibly Double Fine.
I was literally thinking, we haven't heard from Double Fine in a minute.
Yeah.
That's the level of game that makes a lot of sense for this.
And I have a feeling their next game is going to be not of the level of Psychonauts 2, but a bit smaller that I think could work for a shadow drop.
Agreed. I was like, if I actually had to place money on it in this moment now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, a Double Fine game is probably where I would put my chips.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the right scope for it, right? Like something that is different, something that is smaller, something that is experimental. I would think, if there are any Pentiments or Hi-Fi Rushes right now in their ecosystem that they're ready to get out, that like is ready to go, that is something that you can put out and I think get people excited, and hopefully that builds its own hype in the way that it did for Hi-Fi Rush.
Let me ask you, how do you feel about shadow drops these days? I still really like them, but I did see someone in chat be like, no more shadow drops. I'm like, what's the problem with shadow drops? And I know, I talked to Mike Manadia. We talked about Hi-Fi Rush a lot. He didn't like it because he thought the game deserved more, and you were kind of saying the same thing with Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I get excited when a game gets announced and they say you can play it tonight. I think that usually works for me, but I don't know. How do you feel?
I love them. I think I get more excited about shadow drops. Like Hi-Fi Rush shadow dropping, I thought was excellent. Like I think terms of the game deserving more, I do think that it is a game that I put alongside the other big games of Xbox, right? Like I talk about that in the same breath as I talk about like any of the big games of Xbox this year, last year.
Same.
But I think the shadow drop worked for it. I think that in of itself is marketing. That is a way to get people hyped. That is a way to build excitement. And I think for that game where you see a trailer for it and immediately you're like, oh damn, I want to get my hands on it. Guess what? You can get your hands on it. And I think that works sometimes. Apex Legends is another one that I point to where, that game was announced, shown off, I think like a day or two before its release, or maybe the day of release. I forget I think it might have leaked or something, but
that was leaked, and then it basically shadow dropped.
Yeah, like that was basically shadow drop, and that game was so exciting. I've been actually thinking about that a lot in like relation to Concord.
Same.
I like Apex Legends. I think if you had started marketing that game super early, and you had talked about like, oh yeah, and we got these legends that have their stories, and it's a battle royale and all this stuff, I feel like a lot of people would be like, but like we already got PUBG, we already got Fortnite. Like battle royales they feel like just a trend right now. Oh man, I don't care about these stories. Whatever. I feel like you would have had a lot of that conversation, but because they just got into our hands and it was fun and it worked, that worked really well for that type of game. I think it just depends on the kind of game it is, and like I think for me the Killer Instinct thing is more so just a timing thing of. I think that is a game that you would want to push for Evo. That is a game that I think you want to build that community with. But for something like
Evo,
a single player
game, when does Evo normally happen?
This Evo is happening July 19th, I believe. Usually it's in August, but it's always summer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, if it's something like Pentiment, then I shadow drop it, dude. Like get people excited, especially if a dope trailer for it.
Right, and I think, I mean, just speaking to your point, like it avoids the puddle news, right? That's what's happening with Concord, where it gets puddle news where people think about like they get so honed in on a couple of things that they don't like, and then their anxieties take over. Like, oh, it seems bad. I don't know, and we have no idea. We haven't played it, but that's just the way human beings are built. And if you shadow drop a game that could like fall into those traps, I think that's a good way to just avoid that conversation entirely. Just let people play it. And say that we are putting our best foot forward, and the best foot is actually playing the game. Going back to Concord, that was probably the move. Maybe it's too big of a game. I don't know, but God, it feels like that would have been the right thing to do.
The last part of the story says, right, it reportedly will be something everyone is expecting to see from Xbox's upcoming lineup of games and DLC. That has my gears turning of, no pun intended, gears turning, but like that has my gears turning of like, all right, what is something we're expecting? I don't expect it to be State of Decay 3 because that's something that you want to market, I think, a bit more. I don't expect it to be something along the lines of the Gears or something big like that. It's a weird one. I'm almost like, is it the Toys for Bob thing that they announced that they're partnering with Microsoft with?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that would be too fast, but who knows? Like, well, actually, the ramifications, like what's been happening over there.
Is it Avowed?
No.
The Avowed date I've heard is later this year, so I mean, it could be wrong, but I mean, I'm expecting Avowed later this year.
I didn't feel good about throwing that out there because I think Avowed is another one you want to spend more time with, especially like with the kind of middling showcase it got earlier this year,
and with it being like a bigger RPG too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to nail it. Yeah, like State of Decay. There's like it wouldn't Doom is too big.
People were saying certain Affinity Halo game, but I think that got canceled.
That got canceled the last we heard. Yeah.
A lot of people were saying Flight Sim, but I thought they said fall for that one, or maybe it was rumored fall.
Right. And I'm.
People were saying Halo Wars 3.
Yeah, was that Creative Assembly that worked on that? Creative Assembly was kind of busy for a minute there with Hyenas. If that wasn't Creative Assembly, I apologize. But yeah, it's tough. It's something people are expecting. I don't know. That's a tough one to pull out of the hat.
Okay.
Someone said Gears Pop 2. Let's go.
Okay, everyone's anticipating that one for sure.
Yeah, quite a few people are saying Towerborn as well.
Towerborn, yes, right. That one makes some sense. I think that is like the right level of game for that.
All right. I'm looking forward to this. I know we're about to talk a lot about the Xbox showcase after this on the episode of GAMESCAST, but like, how excited are you for the showcase? Do you feel like this is going to be a good one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of their stronger ones. Yeah, I don't know how much the the hype factor can work for them because they have so many games already previously announced that they have to update us on. But I remember a few years back, I got like, oh, here's the leak of everything that's going to be in this Xbox showcase, and then I watched it. And it was right. The league was right. And I was still very impressed and entertained by the showcase. So it's like, even if all the factors are known, even if we're working with everything that's like these games are fully understood to be what they are, if they present them right, if the games look really good, they could still have a really good showcase. And I think a lot of it hinges on how exciting is that new Doom, really? How good does Gears of War 6 really look?
Yeah.
If they can nail those things and then have a few surprises even built into the games that we are expecting to see. Like if Perfect Dark looks like, the best game that they have, I think people will be really relieved and really happy. So yeah, they can nail this. They could pull this off, but they do have a degree of difficulty modifier because they are working with a lot of stuff that can't surprise us in that way of like, oh, I didn't know you were working on that.
Yeah, I have this thing with it where I'm excited for it. I think for me, I'm always entertained during the Xbox showcases.
Last several years I have been too.
Yeah, like last year getting, oh man, I'm so bad with the names of these games, but like the Clockwork game that looks like almost like a BioShock type thing.
Yeah, no.
Clockwork Revolution?
Yeah, Clockwork Revolution. Yes, there you go.
And then was South of Midnight?
South of Midnight.
Yeah, like seeing new IP in that way, I'm like, oh yeah, these look interesting. These look cool. I'm excited to see more of these things. I expect to see more of those types of things again at this showcase. But Xbox is in this weird thing where, for me personally, this is completely a personal thing, where I feel like they're so big and have so many studios and they have multiple publishers underneath Xbox that it's almost like, it doesn't feel like an Xbox showcase to me anymore. It just feels like a game showcase, right?
Yes.
I'm just going to see a bunch of fucking games, and that's exciting for me, but I'm also like, yeah, okay, cool. I don't even know what an Xbox game feels like to me anymore, unless it's Halo or Gears. But I'm excited to see something like Perfect Dark. I'm excited to see Doom. I'm a big Doom fan. I hope Doom kind of gets back to a bit of the Doom 2016 feel. But yeah, like I'm excited for it, but I'm kind of missing a level of like, I guess, consistency or a level of like cohesiveness with the Xbox game ecosystem.
It just feels like, can anything happen at this showcase? I suppose it can because you're right, they have so many studios, but it just feels like they have so many bills to pay in terms of they wrote checks in the past, now they have to cash them. It doesn't feel like anything can happen at this show.
Jeff, we're going to continue to talk about Xbox, but before we do, I want to talk to you about patreon.com/kindafunny and youtube.com/kindafunnygames, where you can go and get the Kinda Funny membership, which allows you to get shows ad-free. Speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
This episode of Kinda Funny is brought to you by Punkle, the developers behind Vampire Survivors. Did you know that Vampire Survivors is out on just about everything? That's right, you can play it this very second on PC, Xbox, Switch, and mobile. And if that wasn't enough, it's coming to PlayStation this summer with a Platinum Trophy, and I just so happen to be stoked. Why? Because it's awesome! Vampire Survivors is a gothic horror casual game with roguelike elements where your choices can allow you to quickly snowball against the hundreds of monsters that get thrown at you. Mow down thousands of night creatures and survive until dawn. Pick your character, spend your gold on power-ups, and get to being the bullet hell in the game that features absolutely zero vampires. Punkle even just released the new DLC Operation Guns featuring the classic and timeless Konami IP, Contra. We've been talking about this game for years, so there's no reason not to support it now. It's as affordable as a cup of coffee. Get Vampire Survivors on your platform of choice this very second, and thank Punkle for sponsoring Kinda Funny.
And we're back. You have another quick piece of Xbox news for you, story number 2. It looks like Xbox is updating its game box art. This is Tom Ivan at VGC. Retail listings suggest Microsoft may be planning to update the design for Xbox Series X game boxes. Limited run games listing for Clock Tower Rewind features a new box art template, as does box art for the newly announced Xbox version of Kena Bridge of Spirits. Rather than listing the game's platforms in black lettering on a white background next to the Xbox logo on the top left of the box, the platforms are listed on the top right of the updated packaging in white lettering atop the larger background.
Whoa!
Listen, we did it, everybody.
Let's
fucking go.
I'm shitting my pants over this one. I say, hey, you know what? I think it looks better.
I also think it looks better.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't buy physical games anymore, really. I'm all digital and happy about it. But if I were to have a collection, I think I'd be happy about this. I think something about it looks more premium, looks more expensive. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the only weird thing with this is like when you get into box art that might have a lot of white on it and make that difficult to read. But I do think design-wise, it looks cleaner. Like the other one, Baird, if you can scroll down to the other one, I just hate. I honestly, I hated this. Like the fucking like black on like the white square. I understand.
It looks like a warning label.
And like they try to turn it.
Warning! You're buying an Xbox game. Are you sure you want to do that?
What, are you okay?
They also like they made it a parallelogram because like they thought the parallelogram would make it look a little bit cooler, but it just looks like it looks like a medicine label. It looks like I'm about to read a prescription. So yeah, it's a very small thing that doesn't affect me whatsoever because I don't buy physical Xbox games, and I feel like most people at this point on Xbox are just playing off of Game Pass or playing their things digitally. But cool, good for them.
Yeah, I get this. I kind of wish they would go back to jewel cases. I want to go back to the CD jewel cases. That was a good time in gaming.
Dude, I would be with you on that. Like I feel like that could save Xbox. Bring back the jewel cases.
Right, just like I don't know. I get why they do these. These things are like just one piece of plastic, so it's got to be cheaper to manufacture. But I don't care. Give me back jewel cases.
Also, did I fuck up parallelogram as a shape? Was that actually a rhombus?
Yeah, that was
I think it's a rhombus, but also all the sides are parallel, right? So
technically, I'm right.
Yeah. Just look at how cool. Like, you're right, Grubb. We used to live in a simpler time, man.
And Xbox,
a better time.
Xbox as a brand they never did the jewel cases, right? Because they came after that generation.
Yeah, because
PlayStation 1 had the tall boys, right? At tall boys, and then they went to jewel cases, and that was I liked both. I mean, I like the tall ones too.
I feel like Xbox deserves at least one generation using the jewel cases. Because come on, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, they missed
exactly.
It. Fucking cool.
And Nintendo never did. Right?
No, because they did cartridge.
Oh yeah.
But like, I really like the N64 cartridge box design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those things disintegrated before your very eyes.
Oh, for
sure. I did like them. Yes, absolutely. It makes them more special. Absolutely. And then with the GameCube had the DVD style case. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Story number 3. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered on PC has been ready for at least 7 months, it is claimed. This is Chris Scullion at Video Games Chronicle. The PC version of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered has been sitting fully developed for more than half a year, it is claimed. Deal Labs user Bill Kuhn, who has a long track record of reliably leaking game announcements and other information, says they believe the game has been finished for some time. According to the insider's sources, development on the PC version started at least as far back as 2021. Quote, what's more, and this is the most important piece of information in this article, we believe that the game's development is well and truly complete, dating back to at least November 2023, they added. Speculating as to why the PC port wasn't released alongside the PS5 version and has still yet to appear, Bill Kuhn wonders if the game is being held back to release alongside the second season of The Last of Us TV show, which is scheduled for 2025. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get why this happens with this game specifically. For one reason, like it's a PC port, and that is the kind of thing where they'd be like, we want to strategically space out the release of that. And then at the same time, I get why the work gets done when it gets done, right? Because they were doing all of these remasters specifically with Naughty Dog to give that massive studio something to do between their massive projects, right? So it's like, we want to keep these people busy, want to keep them sharp. We're hiring new people. We want to get them accustomed to working on our projects. Here's something they could do that on. So it's like they're serving multiple masters. They want to keep the team busy and give them work. And then they also want to have something for PC at a later date. And then at the same time, while that's happening, the show just absolutely crushes it and gets that huge wave of interest in the games. Mm-hmm. And now they're like, well, maybe we should be doubly strategic, have it go to PC with the second season of the show. Yeah, if I were in their boots, I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I do think it's a sound move on the business side, right? Because yeah, as you mentioned, hey, yeah, let's stagger these things out. Use the maybe the TV show to drive hype for this game when it drops on PC and all that. I also think that like Last of Us feels like it's become the new Resident Evil or Skyrim, where like every year there's a new Last of Us remaster or port or thing like that. And I don't blame them for this. I think this is just kind of like, I get what The Last of Us is for PlayStation, and I also get that like yeah, let's fucking port it. Let's give more people the opportunity to play it. I feel like it feels less that way if they dropped it all at the same time. That way we're not having every year a new Last of Us release. But again, that's not what makes the cash. That's not what makes the money. And so, yeah, cool. I'll go for it.
I'm just saying, like, we know Nintendo does a lot of this, of holding on to games for a very long time. I think that the reasoning behind these things are a little bit different. I think for Nintendo, it is they are very comfortable with the cadence they already have. They also don't want to scale up their QA and their marketing team, so they let them handle like one project at a time, maybe two at a time, and then they want to save stuff for a rainy day. I don't think we're suddenly going to see a Sony Interactive Entertainment that is holding on to 6, 7, or 8 games for a year plus. This is a special circumstance. I think it could happen more frequently with these ones that have TV shows, because there's obviously a reason to do that, because we've seen that happen over and over again now, where they really benefit from the popularity of the show.
We have some breaking news, Jeff. This comes from Video Game Chronicle. It looks like PlayStation's new shooter Concord could be priced at $40. This is Tom Ivan I'm reading from. Sony's upcoming PS5 and PC shooter Concord could be priced at $40 in the US and £35 in the UK, as spotted by Reset Era user via Push Square. Ahead of pre-orders going live on Thursday, the Australian PlayStation Store is listing the standard edition of the game for $60 Australian dollars and the digital deluxe edition for $95 Australian dollars. The standard edition and Super Citizen edition of Helldivers 2, another Sony-published PS5 and PC live service shooter, also carry these price tags in Australia. In the US and the UK, the Helldivers editions are priced at $40/£35 and $60/£50 respectively, and Concord's Australian pricing could translate similarly. Concord's Digital Deluxe Edition comes with 3 days of early access, 16 character skins, and a Monarch pack. Sony revealed the first Concord gameplay footage, which was poorly received by YouTube viewers, and a release date for the game last week. The debut title from PlayStation's Firewalk Studios will be released for PS5 and PC on August 23rd, with a beta taking place in July. Jeff, how does $40 for Concord sit with you?
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it feels like they are straddling a line where they're like, man, we want to have an upfront price for this because we did spend a lot of time and money on it. We don't want to devalue the work that we're doing. We want to make sure that prices can remain high in case like things swing the other way. We don't want to get everyone accustomed to free to play for everything. And at the same time, they're like, well, we can't be too expensive. So what is the right price? What is the value proposition right now that this can bullseye into? And it's like, well, you probably can't be more expensive than Helldivers. And Helldivers set a floor of 40 that we're also probably comfortable with. This makes sense. I just don't feel great about it, mostly because I watched that Concord gameplay and didn't feel moved by it in any real way. I'll play it, I'll try it, but I would have been way more likely to try it if it was free to play, and I could convince friends to be like, well, you could play it too, just hop on there and get it. I guess my question, Blessing, do you think this is ending up also in like a PlayStation Plus situation? Because Helldivers wasn't, right?
Not at launch. I don't think it's going to end up there at launch. And
right.
I do think it's a fascinating move. We've been talking about this for years. What is PlayStation's online live service strategy going to be with these things? Because we see that the standard has turned more and more towards free to play. Even all the big major successful like competitive shooters have a free to play element. Call of Duty Warzone, like for Call of Duty, is the free to play element, right? Like Overwatch 2, free to play.
Right. Battlefield, it seems like it was fumbling the bad because it didn't have that. Right?
Exactly. And I think that's putting this in such an interesting place. I think Helldivers 2 being you said it was $40? I guess the story said it was $40, right? Like
it's 40. Yes, it was 40. Yeah.
And the other game that was also shown at the State of Play, I think, is also free to play as well. Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals is free to play. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I don't think we have to live in a world where every single thing has to be free to play.
Yes.
But if you are a competitive shooter and you are putting yourself at a premium price or just a price in general, I think $40 is a lot of money for a lot of people, right? I think you're going to have prove that you have the stuff. I think Concord, that Concord trailer leading off with the story stuff, leading off with the CG, like expensive CGI cutscene and showing like, hey, look at this. This is kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. Not exactly like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they're trying to lead with that perception of it. Hey, no, we want this to be kind of like Overwatch. We want this to be perceived as a premium, pay $40, have fun. You're going to get the meat out of this price for it.
I think you're 100% right. That is what that is all about. Where it's they want to tell a story of like, we have our PlayStation audience. We know what they show up for. And so when we present this game, we need to lead with it. No, it has the story and the character and the narrative that we know that you crave.
It's
and
premium.
That is going to justify the price. Yes, it's going to make it feel more premium. I don't know how successful they were at that. Right now, it feels like they weren't very successful at that. But I suppose the proof will be in the pudding. If the game is actually decent when it comes out and people enjoy playing it, I think the feelings around the story stuff, the story elements, and the characters could change very quickly. But you're right. That $40 price tag, it's a hurdle that they need to get over, and they need to prove that it's worth it.
I think the hindsight's 2020 with this one. I think if PlayStation could go back and like change time, I think and like change one of their decisions here, I think the beta should have been out like as you drop this trailer. I think it should have been, hey, here's the story trailer. Here's what this game is real quick, and you can check it out right now for free via the beta and like prove it with the gameplay. Because I'm of the mind that like I'm still kind of excited for Concord. I wish that it had a better showing. I want to try it because going back to talking about Apex, I feel like if you showed off Apex in that way, I would have been hit this exact same where I'm like,
especially today.
Especially today, I would have been like, all right, okay, cool. Like, I don't know, this looks like everything else. I guess we'll see. And then like I would have played it and been like, oh no, this is fucking rad. I think Concord can still have that moment where people get their hands on the beta and end up being way more fun than people realize because it just didn't have a good showing before. But yeah, I think right now you're going to be sitting on a month and a half of people being like, I don't know, man, that game looks like everything else. I don't care about this. Oh man, it's $40. I'm not pre-ordering that. I think they should have done the beta day and date with the showcase. I wonder if they have something at Summer Game Fest. I wonder if they have press previews coming out sometime within the next month before the beta comes out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And like, I wonder what that does for it, right? Like for me, I go back to Foam Stars where Foam Stars last year showed up, I believe, at a PlayStation event. Yeah, I think that was the PlayStation Showcase because it was with all the multiplayer stuff. And that game, I don't think had a good first showing either. And it was at Summer Game Fest, and people played it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun."
You're right.
But like that didn't do enough for it either. And so I don't even if Concord comes out and has a decent showing at Summer Game Fest, is that even going to be enough for where people are already so down on it? I don't know.
It's impossible to know. It does feel like, man, this is following a lot of the Overwatch playbook, and the world is so different from when Overwatch launched. Overwatch was what, 2015?
Yeah. Came out fully in 2016, but yeah, 2015 had a lot of like betas and close stuff.
That's a pre-Fortnite world, like a lot of other free-to-play shooters, and now we're here, and it's like, okay, $40, and that's gonna get you all the characters unlocked, so that they aren't like, you don't have to deal with that. So okay, I guess that's something, but I just, you are setting yourself up for such a challenge, trying to win people over with a live service game. Now, it clearly worked with Helldivers, but I don't know if that means it works for everything. Yeah. We'll see. At the very least, starting at $40, they can always drop the price. They can always make it free to play. You can't go from free to play to $40.
My thing is, $40 is not $70. And that would have been...
That's also changed. Yeah. $40 in 2016 was a lot more than what $40 is now.
Yeah, and if you remember, Overwatch launched at like a smaller price on console. I think it was... I think it was like $50 or $40. It was like slightly lower.
I think it was 40. Yeah.
Was it 40? Yeah.
I think it was 40. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And so like I think $40 could be a good price if Concord has the stuff. And right now people don't think Concord has the stuff. That's the problem. That could change. The beta could change everything. But hey, we'll see, man. We'll see when we get there.
Remember when Destruction All-Stars was going to be $70? That was a wild time.
To think
that
about.
Was a wild time.
That game came out.
Last.
That thing came out on PS Plus. Like at the last minute, they're like, "Fuck it, PS Plus," and that still didn't hit.
Huge whiplash there, right? Yeah,
crazy.
I hope for nothing but the best for Concord. I don't think it looks like some bad game. That's not where I'm at.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm at too. I'm like, I just want to play it. You know, I want to be able to decide.
I want
to
judge myself. Hands on the sticks.
But until then, we'll see. We're just gonna live in this weird space where it's like, all right, is Concord gonna be good? We'll have to see.
Yep.
Story number 4. Remedy looks set to reveal Alan Wake 2's Night Springs DLC at Summer Game Fest. This is Chris Scullion at Video Games Chronicle. Remedy has strongly suggested that it will reveal Alan Wake 2's first paid DLC expansion at the SGF showcase. A new message posted on the game's official X account makes reference to Night Springs, which last year Remedy confirmed would be the name of the first expansion. The message tells fans they can, quote, join the percolation on June 7th, the same date the Summer Game Fest presentation will take place. Night Springs is the name of a fictional TV show which appears in the Alan Wake universe and is an obvious imitation of the Twilight Zone with references to Twin Peaks thrown in. As previously announced by Remedy, the expansion seems to take place in or around the show itself. Jeff, were you an Alan Wake 2 sicko?
I enjoyed what I played of it, but it's not super my game. I'm happy for people that really do love it though, and I have nothing against it. It's not like that. But when I see stuff like this, it's like I should go back and finish that game. And because yes, I do get excited about these things just from like an abstract point of view. So I hope it's what everyone wants, and I do think it's also very likely that this is where they really do turn into sicko mode with like we are connecting our games to hell. Like before, like they've always done that, but I think now they have the confidence of their universe and that they have a roadmap of all these games coming out where it's like I expect that to be a huge connective part of their games going forward. Like a lot of Control stuff could show up in here.
Yeah, that's the stuff that excites me a lot. I'm similar to you where I enjoyed Alan Wake 2 a lot, but I think I'm more fascinated by it more than like
Same.
I actually like fell in love with it. It was in my top 10 for last year, but I think it was on the lower. It was like on the lower end of my top 10, right? But like I really like that universe. I really, really, really liked Control, and
Same. I like Control a lot more.
I think that universe is really interesting. And yeah, like I think DLC opens up the ability to play around with that universe. They did that with the Control expansions, and you would expect they do the exact same thing here with this Night Springs thing. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to show. I wonder what kind of splash it has as DLC. I feel like DLC and expansions are interesting, where if you put an expansion out like the next year, it feels like all right, cool, it's just DLC. But if you wait like 3 years, it's like I look at like Cyberpunk or Elden Ring, for example, of like, damn, like these seem like big expansions. But like Horizon Burning Shores was big. That came out the year after Horizon. I feel like people didn't care as much. I'm in a place with Alan Wake 2 where I'm like, all right, Alan Wake, I just played Alan Wake 2 not that long ago. How long have you been working on this thing? Is it going to feel big, or is it going to be just a smaller couple hours more of gameplay? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm like in such a weird spot with expansions for such a long time where my gut was like, oh, we're going to get way more expand-alones. We're going to get way more Miles Moraleses. That's the way to do it. And that hasn't really happened. People are like, no, we're putting out expansions for the game you bought, and you need the game that you bought to play it. And it's like, okay, it must work if they keep doing it. But it's like, I think I personally would be more willing to jump into a lot of these things if they were standalone, smaller, more focused experiences. And that goes for a lot of games that like I didn't even initially love the original game. Something about it being shorter, more concise, more impactful wins me over a lot of times.
Yeah. Jeff, we'll see if this Alan Wake 2 expansion is small or if it's big. But if I wanted something tiny, say the tiniest news I needed to know about, where would I go?
You'd go to our last story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about.
That's right. It's time. Story number 5. It's Wii News. This first one comes from IGN. The Shenmue fans are so desperate for another game in the long-running action-adventure series that they bought an advertisement in New York's famous Times Square to campaign for Shenmue 4. If you're watching on the video,
down bad bastards.
Barrett has it pulled up. It is a billboard in Times Square that says hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4.
No one's ever been this down bad before. I'm sorry. You guys are not getting Shenmue 4.
It's crazy because it's not like Shenmue 3 was a decade ago. That game came out like a couple years ago.
And it was received with a bunch of shrugs, wasn't it?
Yes, and he should have finished the story in 3. I don't know why he's like, and we're going to have the next 5 chapters that are going to all come out. It's like, come on, man. That was your chance.
This is insane shit. But I respect, like, not even Bloodborne fans are this
one of these
bad.
people in the street, I would cross to the other side of the road.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, 1000%. I'm like, oh, that looks like a Shenmue fan over there.
Yo,
Can't be near them.
Oh my god.
This next one is a tweet from
family.
Wait, you say a Shenmue family? What?
No, I have a family. I can't
you
be
have
around these Shenmue fans.
You gotta be, you gotta be around to take care of the kids.
Yeah.
This next one comes from Keely. Don't miss the gameplay world premiere of Slitterhead from the mind of Silent Hill creator Keiichiro Toyama and Bokeh Game Studio during Summer Game Fest Live this Friday. It's another confirmation of a game that we're gonna see. Exciting stuff.
Slitterhead, a top tier name for a video game. Just incredible stuff.
It gives me the vibes of this is about to be some fucked up shit.
Oh yeah, they're like we as close to Silent Hill as we could possibly get.
This one is from Yacht Club's Twitter. We're thrilled to announce a special edition of Yacht Club Games Presents to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Shovel Knight. This live streamed event will take place on our YouTube channel on Friday, June 14th, 2024 at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. This next one is from IGN. The developer of Hypercharge Unboxed has announced the indie toy soldier shooter has sold 50,000 copies on Xbox in 5 days. Digital Cyber Cherries, a small UK studio made up of just 6 people, said it had achieved the sales milestone without publisher support or a Game Pass deal.
That is fantastic. That's a fun game.
I've not played it. It looks so fun to me. But I do love that they're like, yo, we did this without a publisher, without a deal. We just did this by ourselves.
It's our money.
Congrats. Hitman 3 VR Reloaded is coming exclusive to MetaQuest 3 this summer.
Oh, not PSVR 2?
Here's the thing.
Or PC, it's not working great on there.
Yeah, that's the thing is I saw this news and I was excited for it because I'm like, oh, I love Hitman 3. I never checked out Hitman 3 VR, so I'll check out whatever this thing is. I went into the comments of the YouTube. Turns out Hitman 3 VR fucking broken. It is not. Yeah, the game is not like where it is. Oh, we're selling PlayStation consoles with this thing. It's like, no, that's the Spider-Mans. Those are the fucking God of Wars. Oh, Jeff, are you back? I don't know. I can see him. He's not saying words though. He's just he's locked into whatever he's looking at. All right, I'll get back to him later. But yeah, I think Concord is one of those games that you treat as hey, we are making this to make Concord as successful as possible. And if that success means putting it on Xbox, I think we get there. Of course, we're not going to get that at launch. Obviously, it's just launching on PlayStation and PC at launch. By late 2025.
Grubb, we're back. We're back. We lost internet for a couple minutes, but because we're still recording, we just had Blessing go.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I'm locked in right now.
I just heard that last bit. Okay, all right, awesome. So this is all going to be the podcast?
Oh yeah, we're not cutting any of this.
Let's fucking go!
Yeah, no, I'm going on a monologue right now about Concord and why
I can't wait to listen. Wish I could have been a part of it.
Honestly, I'm talking about how Concord could eventually come to Xbox. And so for YouTube watchers, for people watching live, you missed a lot of context just now. But to finish my thought for people that have been here because they're watching later, I think Concord would make sense if you put it out a year or two later on Xbox. And I think I would hope that Concord gets that far. I'm not of the mind right now that Concord gets shut down a year after it comes out. Am I saying it's impossible? No. It could happen. It could happen. But
anything could happen.
Anything could happen, but I'm not there yet.
You're right. I think that this is one of those games that could be the beginning of why isn't it on Xbox? I know people will be like, well, there's not a ton of Xboxes. There's enough Xboxes out there. And this is the kind of game that that audience would spend money on. I mean, Helldivers is like the one they would definitely spend money on. But if you're going to do Helldivers, do Concord as well.
CJ Splits and Writes in and says, Jeff, will we get port/multiplat news?
From Xbox, yes. Listen, it sounds like there's going to be about 30 games in the Xbox showcase, so they're going to have news about a lot of stuff.
And this is going back to an earlier conversation. SD Turtle says, does shadow dropping work? Hi-Fi Rush Studio got shut down and didn't seem to succeed as they said it did. Would marketing add too much cost? I mean, I'm of the mind that Hi-Fi Rush did work. It's just the happenstance of Xbox,
it being under a corporation that needs everything to constantly go up exponentially.
To make money now.
Yeah, and not even, but I think that's outside of the context of Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's the fact that studio was far out from making their next game because they had just put out Hi-Fi Rush, which is even worse when you think about it.
What I heard is if that studio was making money, it wouldn't have got shut down. And so it's like, it didn't make the money it needed to make to justify not shutting it down. But I really don't know how much shadow dropping is responsible for that. That is all speculation.
Let's see. I can get one. We got time for one more in here. I mean, we're over time, but I'm gonna do one more in here. Calvin Perez, I think it's going to run a modified Xbox OS and games will need to be ported over /modified to work natively. Otherwise, they can be streamed. This, of course, talking about the Xbox Handheld.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. That seemed like, to what end? Because if we're talking about, like, the rumors the next Xbox console is going to enable you to install Steam on it, why work backward just to move back in that direction? Just make it a PC.
That is going to bring us to the end of Super Chats. Of course, thank you guys so much for writing your Super Chats. We didn't get to all of them. Of course, we never promised we were going to get to all of them, but also we just had technical difficulties, which meant that I had to monologue and save time. And so my apologies there. But it is time for kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where you write in and let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong, so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the globe. Are these all from yesterday? Yeah, these are all. Nope, we got a couple. Hold on. Banner Ascend says Overwatch was $40 at launch on PC only. Oh, I see. $40 at launch on PC only, aka Battle.net, and $60 on console. If I remember correctly, though, the console version of Overwatch was Overwatch Legendary Edition, and I think
that's how they pull that off.
That's how they pulled it off. Is I think they probably gave you extra currency for loot boxes or something.
Right, and some like costumes and stuff. Yeah.
And I remember I got like a physical license plate looking thing with Overwatch when I bought it. And that's it for kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. That was the only one.
Cool.
And that does bring us to the end of the show. Jeff Grubb, thank you so much for joining me. Do you have anything you want to promote?
Sunday, Bellwether, Los Angeles. Tickets are on sale now. We're doing a live show. We did add a cool feature where if you get a ticket, you get a year of premium on Giant Bomb. And if you get the VIP package, which is, I think, $100, and then there's Ticketmaster fees on top of that, you get lifetime premium at Giant Bomb. There's other factors in there, like there's a Q&A that you can be a part of. But it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. So get tickets now. They're available, and we appreciate it.
Let's fucking go. Jeff, you're going to stick around because we, of course, have our Xbox predictions that we're about to do after this.
Can't wait.
But yeah, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or on YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. Enjoy the GAMESCAST next after this and the stream after that. But until next time, Game Daily.